Okay, and a very good evening. I won't ask you if you can hear me because that's a ridiculous question. But what you can do is you can tell me where you're from. There should be a little chat box just below the video player where you can leave your responses, your answers, and any questions that you may have. So, today is a hangout which is a bit peculiar because I'm going to try and show you how to make it run, more seamlessly live. Um, and I'm going to do that first, so you can see how it's supposed to go, and then I'm going to come back and show you some of the things that I did to make that happen. Okay. Oh, I see Derek's arrived in the room. Thank you, Derek. Good to see you here. And Brian and is that Mary's in house, and George has come as well. Brilliant. Okay. So we're going to get underway. By the end of the webinar, well, sorry, let me rephrase that. If you stay to the end of the webinar, I'm going to tell you the number one phrase that makes webinars more profitable. The number one phrase that makes webinars more profitable. Yeah, Brian. Brian's excited by that. Okay, excellent. All right. So stick to the end. Okay, so this is actually week 1 of 4, and I've got a main point to make about this in a second. But what I want you to do in the chat box is I just want you to type in why you think it is more people don't come live to webinars anymore. So I just grab a cup of tea there. That's certainly our impression. So I want you to type in the box why you think people don't come to webinars live so much anymore. Also, there will be a little survey popping up at some point, but also if you can type that into the chat box as well. I want you to tell me how many webinars you've actually done so far. Sorry, when I say webinars, I mean Hangouts. Yeah, sorry, John, I'm getting confused there. So how many hangouts, I was going to call it then, how many hangouts you've actually done? So is it under 3, under 6, under 12, under 30, or over 31, I guess we should say. Because I just want to see how, where you are along the, the webinar system. So, okay, so Ryan the dog, apparently. I'm not sure if I should call him that, but anyway. But Ryan, I'll just call you Ryan. He's done under 3. Brian's done under 3. Mary's done over 30. And George is done 6. And John's done 3 as well. And Michael has done under 20, so something between 6 and 20. Okay, so that's good. So that gives us a good clue. So, so basically, we're all fairly new to this Hangout thing, and it's probably basically because we're not quite sure, what we should do, and also there's this issue with people not turning up. But one of my main points tonight. And keep just keep typing in the answers why you think people don't come to live webinars anymore. You can put more than one answer, that's fine, John. Yeah, you can put more than one in. So I'll come back to those in a minute. So some of the main points I want to get across to you is in the we're kind of used to webinars. And the thing about webinars is they're very much kind of a one-way, broadcast. It's a presentation. And although they had the illusion of, being interactive, generally it was basically, can you hear me? Where you're from? Are you excited by this? But, they couldn't actually, we couldn't actually say, what we were excited about or if we weren't excited and that kind of stuff. And because they wouldn't answer the questions, live. And also, the other big thing about webinars is when the presenter actually, pauses to read the questions. It can be very, very annoying and distracting for the audience because they lose their thread and they suddenly interrupt themselves, to answer some question or other. So I tend to pace my presentations or hangouts, whatever you want to call them, so that I can, have a logical pause where I can look at the answers and see, what Brian and Michael and Jordan and Mary have, put in the boxes, and actually answer their questions, to actually respond, because this isn't a webinar anymore. These are Hangouts, and that's actually a conceptual shift, because the thing about Hangout is it's supposed to be more like a group of experts or a group of fans hanging out in the same room where they share equally what they're thinking or their reactions. So it's not a one-way presentation, it's actually more like a meeting. Okay, and that actually makes it a lot easier for the presenter as well, because it means that the presenter doesn't have to be a complete genius and fill, whatever it is, 40 minutes of material, and and just start from end to finish and try and be flawless and that kind of stuff, because it's about our conversation, my conversation with you, Derek, and you, John, and you, Brian, and Mary, and Jordan, and everyone else. Um, and that's really the difference. So I don't know if you've actually ever, thought of Hangouts as being conceptually different. Okay, so George says yes. Mary says yes. Brian, not so sure. Charlie and Ryan and Michael are saying no, that they hadn't. Okay, so mixed reaction. So the technology is the same. So it's basically about how we interpret the technology and what we do about it. Okay, but the whole point of it, if we run it as a hangout, as a meeting where we're actually interacting with our audience, with you guys and girls, it makes it a great marketing opportunity, because rather than it just being a one-way pitch, we can actually talk about your live objections. I can actually find out why you're having a problem with something, or why you're not buying something, or whatever it is. You might tell me something that's missing in in what you're doing, that you need to have added in. So maybe I'm talking about an email course, and you need help writing headlines and stuff like that. Yeah, Mary's so she's a huge huge problem writing headlines. So it gives us that opportunity to overcome objections. Now that's a very valuable marketing thing. If you've got roadblocks, that's stopping you from doing something, so like tonight, you've got this Hangout technology. Some of you have had the Hangout technology, the version 1, for a long while. We've all just, this week or last week, wherever it was, upgraded to this version 2 thing, which is a lot better, and it's got the live chat, built into the Google app and everything. But there's maybe something that stopped us, doing it. So, for instance, how many of you have run a version 2, webinar since version 2's come out? Right, so Mary has, I'm not surprised. George has. Charles, Charles, he's done a test one, and I don't know about the rest of you, just at the second. So why is that? This is a great opportunity. It's a good system. We should be behind it. There's nothing really, as I put in the email, there's nothing really more effective than other than a sort of face-to-face meeting, than running a hangout, because it's very much about the live interaction of people. As I say, we can see what's going on and answer that sort of question, which I'm sure some of you will appreciate, is that you go to this great length to explain it to the customers, and they nod their heads and go, yeah, we get that, that's a great idea, and then they go, but will it work for me, because I'm different for some reason, I'm from Italy or whatever, I'm from New York, will it work for New Yorkers? Charles says. Okay, it does, yes, to answer your question. so the Hangout's a great opportunity, and we need to, to handle it. So, the big question then is why haven't more of us done more Hangouts since version 2 has come out? Okay, so we're going to try and answer that in a second. So as I say, this is week one of 4 parts, and this one is about making it seem more live by using preempting techniques, which is basically something about names and trends. Okay, so we'll just explain that in just a second. So the first thing is, in this slide, I've actually put no visual prompt, and then I've written below what I'm going to say. And I've only done that to remind myself, but it's much better if we don't kind of repeat what we're saying in text with what we're saying by voice, or sorry, by pictures, because it's not reinforcing our point. It's actually just making it more boring, because you read the slide ahead of me and you go, why is he still speaking? I've read that, and it's not focusing your mind at all. Whereas if this just said coming up, then you would have to listen to me to find out what is coming up, and that would actually make you more attentive. So to illustrate that, Charles, and your York friend, has said, what is the red herring technique? So he's read my slide ahead of me, and now he's itching for me to cover it. Yeah, Brian's saying is the red herring technique about fishing. Oh, sorry, running a webinar when you're fishing. No, well, it could be, but not the way I meant it. So the red herring technique is basically, yep, Mary's got it, is a way of kind of guiding the audience in an opposite direction so that they come back to the direction that you wanted them to come into. So it's not exactly deceptive, but it's a kind of a pattern interrupt kind of NLP thing, but it's not really that. It's just about a bit more like storytelling, to be honest, because it's about making people receptive to the next part of the story. So I mean, if you look at most TV shows, they have 3 plots going concurrently, and they'll switch between the 3, in succession. They'll make it a bit more less robotic than that, but they're basically going through 3 simultaneous plots at a time, and when one of the plots ends, they introduce another one, so there's another 3 running, although there might be a different 3, but that kind of thing. So so I mean, as John said, very much like Game of Thrones, that probably had recently, I think it's 6, so I haven't counted them, but 6 plots going on simultaneously. And so that's kind of what the red herring technique does. But we're not going to cover the red herring. I can't speak now. We're not going to cover the red herring technique tonight. That's going to be in another week. Okay, so tonight, I need to. Well, sorry. So I've told you that what's coming up in the following weeks is the red herring technique. So what I'm going to do now is ask you this question. Okay, so I asked it at the beginning, and I said to you, why don't more people come live? And also I put here, should we offer incentives? So why don't more people come live? So let me open that up to you guys, and you can tell me. So Jordan's saying, he's busy, he's at work. Sometimes the webinars are on a good time. Michael's saying he's got family, so it's hard to, make time again. Derek says he prefers to wait for the replay so he can do it at double speed. That's quite funny. So I'm very pleased that you didn't do that tonight, although I'm sure you will with the replay. George is saying he tries to make time. Mary's saying that they're not always of interest to her. Now I think that's actually the crux. So well done, Mary. Not well done, but I agree with you. Sorry, there we are. Well done to all of you. But I agree with Mary's answer. So the main thing is why we don't come, that we don't make time to come to events live, is a mixture of it's not really important enough to us, it's not relevant enough to us. Okay. We'll talk about the incentives in a minute, but yeah, that's the main thing. And then the other thing is the timing, and also obviously, as Ryan's saying that we're kind of he finds the replays a lot more. What's that? Oh, convenient. So he finds the replays a lot more convenient because obviously you can watch them at any time of them. Yeah, good. You don't play them at double speed like was it John? No, okay. It's just that you can get them in his own time. Okay, all right. So that's one of the things. So they're not relevant. So incentives. Now, incentives aren't really, I don't think, that productive. So I mean, I've offered you a gift, at the beginning of this one. So if you say to the end, I'll give you the most money-making phrase for webinars ever. So that's an incentive. I could have put that in the email to make you come and said I'll only give it to live people. But I'm not sure people respond to that so well because it is a bribe, usually the bribe is more attractive than the thing. So if I want you to come to a boring presentation or about a thing that you're not interested in, then the bribe is the only reason you're coming. And I think that's the wrong way to motivate the audience, because you don't want them to come just for the bribe. So what we want is them to come for the actual topic that's on offer. And as obvious as it sounds, John says it might not be obvious. Okay, we'll wait for it. As obvious as it sounds, we just need to have topics which are relevant, in context, timely, appropriate to the audience that we're doing. And obviously we can ask them. So I can ask you in this webinar what you want the other webinars to be. Again, once we have this kind of interaction, like we're meeting in a room, then we can. So just reading what Brian's running. We can we can ask what the next webinar should be. Okay, so that was an example of when you're reading the answers, when it becomes disruptive to the presentation. So we want to try and avoid doing that, and make your point and wait to the end of your point before you start reading other people's answers. It's quite hard because obviously the inbox is kind of filling up, and you want to know what people are saying. But it's better if we a bit more disciplined about making our points, but making our points in chunks so that we give time and space where we can respond to the questions, okay, to the interaction and the feedback and all of that. Okay, so as you can see, we've done a fairly seamless, I guess, is that the word? It's a bit of a bold statement, but anyway, we've done a fairly seamless. Oh, thank you. Mary said liquid gold, excellent. Ryan says choppy. Okay, thanks, Ryan. I won't send you an invite next time. Yeah, so we've done a fairly seamless, presentation today, despite everything that's going on. So behind the scenes, when you watch this replay back, what we did, just now, will seem moderately seamless. In actual fact, there's a 40-second delay on Google Hangouts, as I'm sure you all know, between when I actually say something and when I can get your reaction back. So how on earth have I managed to do a seamless presentation? Okay, that's one of the secrets. So, and this week I'm going to reveal one of those. But one of the things that I've done is I use the VIP names. So I know that Michael and Ryan the dog, he's not a dog, I'm not sure, I don't know why his nickname's Ryan the dog, anyway, and Jordan and Brian and Mary and John and George and Derek, I know that you were all coming. Okay, so I knew that I could use your names in the presentation, I've tended to use your first names, so there could be more than one Michael. Let's just see if there is. No, there's not more than one Michael. Oh, Howard's here. Sorry, I didn't realise Howard had come. Excellent. Well done, Howard. Brilliant. It's great to see you. Walt's here. That's interesting. Maybe it's not the Walt. Walt's the guy who made this Hangout software. It's probably another Walt. I don't think Walt would come to my Hangout. Maybe he would. Who knows? Anyway, so I've used your names because I knew you were coming, and when you hear a name like yours, you're going to be receptive to it, and it makes it seem a lot more personable and interactive and live, as you've seen. Okay, so I'll come back to the red herring thing in a minute. And the other thing that I've done to make it seamless is I've worked out what the likely questions were, and I've anticipated your responses. But I haven't done that blindly. I've done that from my experience and from all my contacts with you and all that kind of stuff, and summarization questions, because normally when you do a Hangout or a webinar presentation, 20 people ask the same question slightly differently, and you can do a summary kind of answer. So I know what those kind of questions are going to be. But the other thing, I don't know if you noticed it, and you can tell me, so type it in the box now, is I asked you a question right at the beginning, right at the very beginning of the webinar, of the Hangout. And you remember what the question is? So let's just see. Yeah, so everyone's remembered the question. I said to you, why don't more people come live to webinars or to Hangouts? And in all the time I've been speaking, I've given enough time for those answers to come in. I mean, way more than the 40 seconds that I needed, but it made it flow a lot better. So I answered with the likely responses, which is, it's more convenient, and I'm at work and all that kind of thing, things we'd expect. And now I can see the answers, and I can see that I'm actually right. John has said it's because he was at work. So I got the name wrong because I thought it was Jordan who was going to say that, but John made that point. Brian has said Pitch Fest, so he obviously conditioned to dislike webinars because he thinks that something's going to be sold to him. By the way, there's nothing being sold to you tonight. You already bought the Hangout plugin, whether it was version 1 or the version 2 upgrade or the new version 2 if you were new to the Hangout plugin. So this is your bonus for having bought it, whenever it was, whether it was a year ago or just recently. I know several of you are new, so like Charles. I know that you bought the version 2. Anyway, so now we've got the answers coming in. We've addressed the issues. We've made it seamless. We've made it interesting. And if there's anything new that we need to put into that, or somebody's come up with a great reason why people don't come to webinars and Hangouts live anymore, then there's the thing. So Mary's saying that she dislikes some webinars because the presenter isn't organised. It's not very planned, so it's kind of I guess we would say chatty or conversational, or well, I don't know other words we'd use. Oh yeah, George is saying She's saying he hates it when they do the bio thing and with their family pictures and their dog. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's not so relevant who we are. If they're coming to our webinars, then they probably know you a lot already, and hearing it every time is certainly not good. So we've covered the point. I gave you the likely answers. I've involved you by using the names of the people that are, that are here. Where they may not have spoken yet, but I know that they're here. And now we're backing it up with going back to seeing what your actual responses were, so that we can, put in any live content. So now it seems, as though we've actually addressed the whole thing live. Okay, so this is what I mean by the preempting technique. We're preempting what we think is likely to be asked. We're anticipating the responses. We know the names of the not the kinds of it, the names of the people who are attending the event, who have logged into the event, and we're what should we say? We're preempting that, and then we're going back to back it up with anything that's variation of that. If there's some good stuff that we haven't covered, or if there's a big feeling, a particular way, then we're going to mention that. And the trends, what I mean by that is, we're not lying, we're not guessing here. We're basing this on, other events, other conversations, the kind of questions that people always ask, and working out the most common kind of blocks and fears and lacks of understanding, or issues like technical problems or something like that. They're always a block for some people. So we know that the technical issues are going to be one of those things that are going to block people from doing Hangouts. Now, that wasn't one I mentioned. It is one that Howard's mentioned, actually. So yeah. And Adam. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Adam and Howard have both mentioned, technical things have stopped them. One of them's installing it, and the other one is getting his headset to work. So there's different reasons, but they're still technical issues. So that's why those two guys haven't done Hangout with the new version 2, because of technical issues. Okay, no surprise. Now we know what they are in actual fact. We know that we can address that. If they were new kind of technical issues, we could do a help video for it or something, and that kind of thing. Anyway, so there we go. So as you can see, it's fairly seamless. I'm using the let me just put it another way. I'm avoiding the delay by making sure that there's enough time for you to put in your answers to avoid the 40-second delay. I'm making sure that we can be seamless and fluent by having enough material to cover it in between the silences. So I'm not having to wait for answers. We have answers in the pool, if you like, so that we can use them. Okay, so that's basically it for this week. I only wanted it to be 20 minutes. I've done 30, so I'm sorry about that. And the reason I'm doing it in 4 parts is I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to overload you with stuff. Oh, Howard's saying it was too short. Okay, thank you for wanting more. And John's saying he's got to go anyway. Right. Okay, I'll try and be very quick then. So I'm splitting it up into 4 parts because I don't want to overwhelm you, and I want you to actually go away and practice this technique. So, I've actually used more than one technique in this webinar, which we'll explain next time. But I want you to be able to practice this technique. So you can just do a webinar, on your own. You can just do it, privately, just record it and not actually even go to Google if you don't want, whatever. Or you can just do one where you don't invite anyone, to attend, and practice this technique of having your attendee list available to you, working out what the likely questions are, making sure you ask your main question well in advance, so that people have got time to to answer it and think about it, and have some answers in the pool, so that that you've got something to say and you're not waiting. Okay, and the other thing is, try and remember to be short, and to do it in kind of modular chunks, so that you have time to pause like that. There's John gone. Okay. So you have time to pause so that you can actually, read the answers without, completely breaking the flow of your presentation. Okay. All right. So there we go. So I hope that was useful to you. I hope you actually go and practice this technique. This is one of four. They are actually very important because, the more seamless your presentation is, the better it will be. The more likely people are to come back and all that kind of stuff. And all it does is it requires having a strategy and planning a little bit ahead so that what to do in advance, basically. And I had one more point, which I've forgotten. I should have made notes, obviously. Yes, thank you. It was that. That was Brian. Okay. I've gone completely out of my head. That's advance. No, I've forgotten. So I'll have to tell you next time. So I hope you found that useful. Please go and practice it, and I shall see you next time, basically. As I say, there's nothing to buy in this webinar. This is your bonus for having already bought the Hangout plugin. I hope this inspires you to use the Hangout plugin a little bit more, and I shall see you next time. Okay, if you've got any questions, you can still put them in the chat box, and I can answer them next time, or I can send out an interim email, whatever you want. If you think of any more reasons why you think people don't come live, then very interested to hear those. And next time we will be covering the interject and interrupt, or the double I method. Okay, sounds exciting, doesn't it? Brian says no. Okay. Okay. All right. So, yep. So, thank you, Michael. That's great. Howard, yep. Great to see you. Glad you made it. That's brilliant. Mary, good answers as always. George, good answers as always. I missed some people who came in when I wasn't looking. So, shout out. Is that the word? To Tony and Nancy. Sorry, there we are. Oh, and Chris. There we go. Walt. Yep. Okay. No, it wasn't the Walt. Okay. Good. All right. So that's that. And anyone I missed, I didn't mention out loud. I'm sorry about that, but I do appreciate you coming. That's fantastic. This wouldn't be a hangout without you, obviously. Okay, thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye for now.